Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to our tutorial series on making a simple character. In our previous tutorial, we went ahead and did a walk cycle. So here's our walk cycle for our character. Works simple enough. We have some basic animation there. Go ahead and hit the stop button. In this tutorial, we're going to look at creating the idle position for our character. So when our character is not doing anything, he should be standing or in some sort of stance, and we're going to do that here. I'm not going to animate on my walk cycle. I'm actually going to go back to my bind pose. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to go to open. And I'm going to open up my simple character weighted. So you can see my character's weighted skin weights position. Go ahead and open that. All right, so there he is. This is our bind pose. And of course we have, all the skin weights weighted. But I want to make sure that I have this saved as my bind pose. Just so I have reference to it. So I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to Save As. And I'm going to call this Simple Character. And then I'm going to change the last bit here. I'm going to call this Bind Pose. You always want to have a reference to it. That way, what if somebody changed your skin weights for some reason? You want to make sure you update these. So I'm going to hit Save. Yes, kitten. Yes, kitten. What is it you like? This is Misty saying hi. All right, so I have my bind pose saved, and then I'm going to save this again as idle. So I'm going to go to File and Save As. I'm going to change this to idle. There we go. And the reason why I'm saving these different files is so that I have access to them later in case I need to make changes. All right, so now I have my character. The bind pose is not going to be our idle stance, because nobody stands like this unless you're T-posing for, a meme of some sort. I kind of want my character to look like he's in a fighting stance. So I'm going to position my character to where, let's see, if he were southpaw, he would stand with his right leg forward, but I actually want to stand with his right leg back. So I'm going to rotate my hips back just a bit. And I am on frame 1, just so you're aware. I'm going to take this leg, I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. Now, be careful as you grab these. Sometimes when you grab the gimbals, you have multiple gimbals selected, and that causes problems. Try to be very careful and only grab the gimbal that you want. Okay, I'm going to rotate that forward. And I'll just give him kind of a casual stance. It's fine. A little bit more weight distribution on the back leg here. Now that my legs have a weight distribution, I'm actually going to shift the hips back just a little. Now, of course, you can pick whatever pose you like. I am going to, again, do a basic, casual fighting stance. Make this arm a little bit forward. I'll bend the elbow. He does have short, stubby arms, so I can't get too much out of him. That arm's coming down. And of course, while he's in stance, he should be facing forward. So I'm going to keep his shoulders rotated as they are, but I will rotate the neck so that he is facing forward. I'll even do the spine there. Just kind of get him so he's not leaning back, but comfortable. Yeah. Okay, so there's my idle stance. I'm going to select all. So select all by type, joints. I will press S to key those in. And of course, I'm going to go all the way down to the end of my list. Now I have this set to 36 frames. My my idle stance is probably going to be a little bit longer than that, so I'm going to change this to 48, so I'll give 2 seconds on here. And you can see when I dropped in 48 that it didn't update my timeline. That's just my range. So if I drag my range slider over, you can see that. So if I drag it this way, I have 48, but I lose my 1. And if I drag it this way, I have my 1, but I lose my 48. I'm just going to go ahead and drag this little tick out all the way to the end. And that way I can see my entire view here. So all the way down at 48, I'll hit S again. Sometimes it won't let you, so I'm going to go ahead and click off and just reselect everything. Reselect, and then I'll hit it again. There we go. So that's all keyed in. Sweet. So now what we're going to do is make him look like he's, I don't know, he could be bouncing from the side, from side to side like he's energetic, or he could just be breathing. Try to keep it simple. Maybe I'll have him, maybe I'll just have him do like a little breathing thing, you know. So from here, I'll say in the middle, we got, the middle will be 24 since 48 is right there. You know, 48 cut in half should be 24. We won't have a perfect middle because, you know, from here to 24, yeah, but then this frame is technically an offset. It's not directly in the middle because even numbers, when they split, they split evenly. So there's no middle frame for you to kind of tug on. So I got to kind of pick my battle here. I'm just going to choose 24 as my middle ground. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and make sure auto key is set. That's right here. And for him to breathe, I'm just going to rotate, I'm going to bring the collarbones up. So I'm going to rotate the collars out. And you can see as I rotate the collars up just a little bit, not a whole bunch. Here's that one. And I'm going to rotate this collarbone. And I'm going to rotate the spine. So now if I play that, it looks like he's got some breathing going on. Maybe he's a little out of breath. Now you wouldn't necessarily have your legs doing nothing. Maybe you could be shifting your weight. So I'm going to go ahead and slide him. Frame 24. I'm going to slide the hip position just a little bit to the right. And as I do that, I'm going to rotate the hip. In and then a little bit back because I have to compensate for the weight. But I don't know where my foot's going to be, so I'm going to go back to 1. My foot is there. Let me create a box real quick. Make a little box. I'm going to use this box to see where my foot position is. So hold down the V key. I'm going to snap this to that foot joint. This is just going to be a reference point so I can see where this moves. I'll go back to frame 24 and you can see this moved off. Let's go frame 1. How far off did it move? I'll grab that and I will rotate that forward. So now the foot's in about the right position, so it looks more like he's just shifting his weight versus the foot just magically sliding. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to grab that cube. I'm going to go ahead and snap that to this leg at position 1. Make sure it's at position 1. Okay, so there's where that foot is. We did slide our weight this way, so going to here, going to be rotating out some. Let's see how that looks. So back on 24, I do want this leg to not slide as much. Typically you wouldn't do this with the knee. You wouldn't bend the knee sideways, but I will. I'm going to go ahead and as I'm at here, you can see the knee position is kind of down, pointing to this area. So I'm going to move it to 24, and I will bring the knee back. Ooh, too far. So that foot's pretty good. This one's moving too much, so I'm going to grab that one. So -5. Nah, I'll leave it. I don't want to take up too much more time. This is going to be very simple anyway. Go ahead and delete my little box. I don't need it anymore. And this is where you kind of go through and sort of refine how the animations are. You'd slow them down if you need to. But for the sake of this particular idle stance, I think this will work. It almost looks like he's a little bit off balance here, though. I'm going to fix that. First position, I'll go ahead and just bring the leg out a little bit more. Straighten that knee a little bit more. That way, if you look at him, it looks more like he's leaning with his weight intentionally there. Copy position 1. I'll paste that at position 48. Let's see how much it changes between these. Okay, so you can see how that just slides in. I don't want it to just slide. So from here to there, I like that, but it's on this side where it's getting weird. So I have a bit of an error where the leg is not returning to its original position. So here, you can see the knee is in this position, right? And here, the knee is not. So I'm going to have to grab the knee, make sure I copy that over and paste it as well. So copy, and paste that to my last position. So it is back to sliding, so I need to bring that object back in. I don't need it to be too big, I just need to point at it, so there's that bone. I'll go to wireframe so I can see where that object is. And then in frame 24, I do need that joint to line up, so let's go ahead and grab this knee here. Kind of aim it there. There we go. So now that foot is not sliding. Now, normally when you have a regular rig, you have an actual knee control, so it doesn't just twist it, but for this it'll work. I'll go ahead and get rid of that little box. I no longer need it. Get rid of that little box. Okay, so this is going to be close enough for the character's idle animation. Like before, I do want to select all my joints, so select all joints. And I do want to make sure that I clear static channels. So edit, delete by type, and then static channels. And then I'll get rid of everything that is not necessary. Alright, make sure I save this as my idle. And I will see you guys in the next video.